everybody. Welcome to the Quiet Confidence Masterclass, where we're going to dive deep into how you can find authentic confidence. If you're a woman who, first of all, has a history of public speaking fear, you've probably had that kind of fear your whole life, as long as you can remember, as well as you're a woman who prefers one-on-one conversations, prefers your solitude, right? You're like, I don't want to be in the spotlight. Don't put me on the spot, right? If that's you, this workshop, this class is specifically designed for you because I've been there. I am you. I totally get it. And now I'm a public speaking coach and I speak all the time. And so I've had to figure these things out. And I hope that what I've learned can help you to, develop your confidence so much quicker. Now, quiet confidence is the title of the presentation today. And what is quiet confidence? I put those two words together because confidence is often thought of as this thing where you have to be extroverted and loud and big and bold, or masculine too. And when you think of a leader, what do you see in your mind? I don't know about you, but I often see a man in a suit, right? Hopefully the next generation can have a different internalization of what a leader is. But right, when we think about being an effective speaker and leader, we often think of a very masculine figure. So quiet confidence is embodying your confidence from the inside out. No matter what's thrown at you, no matter the situation, right? No need to be loud and be extroverted. No need to emulate men. You can be a woman and an introvert and still be confident and effective as a speaker and communicator. So welcome to the Quiet Confidence class. I'm Julia Kraft, like she was mentioning, like Lisa was mentioning, and I'm a founder of Speak to Inspire training programs. I mean, at this point, over the last 8 years, I've worked with thousands of one-on-one clients to help them develop confidence on the stage and in whatever spotlight they have. And I've led hundreds of different workshops at companies like Twitter, LinkedIn, Salesforce, big companies, as well as smaller groups more intimately. So I've been doing this for a while. And what I noticed when I was teaching all these public speaking trainings is that there's lots of different kinds of people, men and women, extroverts, introverts, professionals, entrepreneurs, all kinds of different people. There were some people in these trainings that could pick up the skills that I was giving them and apply them right away. I throw them up in front of the room to apply the skills and they'd be able to do it. And then there were some people that would get up in front of the room, right? Because that's often how a public speaking training goes, right? Learn the skill, throw you up to throw you out to the wolves, and you got to perform. And so there were some people that when they got up there to practice this new thing that they learned, they'd shut down. They couldn't find their words, and it was almost more traumatizing for them. I would notice those people would leave exhausted. I probably wouldn't hear from them again. And I completely understood because I've been in those situations where I'm thrown into things and it's overwhelming. It's almost like it creates more of the anxiety that I was trying to solve. So I wanted to help these specific people. And today we're going to talk about 3 secrets that are particularly the feminine secrets that women need to learn about and to practice in order to develop that quiet confidence. And I'm going to share with you the 3 biggest mistakes also that I see introverted women make when they're trying to grow as a public speaker and overcome fear. For me, you might see me now and think, oh, she's just confident. She's comfortable with speaking. And I am Italian, so I naturally go with my hands. I can't help it. I did grow up in a very expressive family, and I went to theater school, right? So I'm a trained actress. But if you go back, let's see, 10 years ago, things were very different for me. I remember getting in front of an audience. It was one of my first speaking gigs for my own business. And I'm up in front of about 100 people. So imagine yourself in this situation. There's 100 or so people looking back at you. Yeah. I got up in front of those people, looked out at the room, felt the pressure of their eyes on me, and I completely blanked out. Please tell me I am not the only person that's ever experienced this. Oh my gosh. I completely blanked out. I mean, the silence just went on and on and on. And I was deer in headlights. The sweat is just from all my pores. My heart is beating so hard. I think most people must be able to hear it. It was traumatizing. I obviously I'm still telling you about that experience because it was really impactful. I left that experience, first of all, with no clients, right? I didn't get the results that I wanted from that speaking opportunity, but also with this clarity, like that can never happen again. How can I make sure that that never happens again? This is what I did, and it's what we're going to work on today. Is first of all, I needed to address that fear, right? That panic that came up, and figure out, why is my nervous system responding? And that led me to explore, well, where did I learn about how I should be with public speaking? Like, what's going on in my head that leads to this? And then I went back to my theater skills, because yeah, I did have this training, right? Let's go back to it. And I practiced the exercises that reminded me of what it's like to be big and bold and expressive, and to be validated in that. So these were the three big things that I did and implemented over that next few months to a year. I looked back about a year later, and I saw that I had done 84 speaking gigs, 84, which means that I did more than one a week, right? Pretty crazy. There's a lot of speaking gigs. I really put myself out there, was working it, to get over this pattern and retrain my nervous system, like new muscle memory. At the end of that year, I felt confident to just keep putting myself out there. It was like this anxiety, this disassociation, that freeze response that I had experienced was just not an issue anymore. And that's what I often hear from women that have a history of performance anxiety. The thing that they really want, and tell me if you relate to this, is like, can this just not be an issue anymore, so that I can get on with life, so that I can get on with progressing in my career, or growing my business, and just feeling better about myself, right? So that was a huge transition that I went through. And it's part of the reason that I'm so passionate about helping other women to really start to trust themselves, learn how to trust themselves in the spotlight when the stakes are high. How can you trust yourself? Okay, so let's dive into our content for today. Like I said, first we're going to talk about those 3 secrets that I feel every introverted woman needs to know in order to feel more confident in the spotlight. So the first thing is this nervous energy that you get, right? Let's understand the symptoms, physical symptoms that you get when you're nervous. I don't know about you, but I don't like to think about that. Like, it happens, or at least it used to happen a lot for me. It would happen, and then I get back to regular life, and I don't want to think about all that uncomfortable symptoms. But that's why I'm pausing here for a moment to focus your attention on, what are my symptoms of fear, public speaking nerves, anxiety. How does your body respond? Some common ones that I see, that I've experienced as well: shaky knees. Have you ever had that? Sweating palms, armpits, everywhere. I mean, sweat dripping down. It's really common. Flushed cheeks, dry mouth, maybe a shaky voice that can't quite get steady. What are yours? Maybe it's hard to breathe. You're talking really fast. Your eyes sort of blank out. Maybe you feel like you're out of body looking down at yourself. There's so many symptoms, and your cascade of symptoms is unique to you. And it's important for you to master, like, how to navigate your symptoms. Yeah. So that's why we're starting here. And also think about, what is your spotlight? What is your spotlight? Because when I talk about speaking, I'm not only talking about big conferences with lots of people. Especially as a more introverted woman, you might feel like a high stakes communication moment is talking one-on-one with your boss about a touchy subject. You might feel like a high stakes communication is leading a meeting with 2 or 3 other people. That's totally understandable. So that is your public speaking moment. And that's what we're talking about here, right? So the symptoms you have in those moments, that's what I'm bringing to the forefront. And then it's important to recognize that even though your nervous symptoms, the symptoms of your nervousness, are unique to you, being nervous about public speaking is totally normal and not unique to you. Have you heard the statistics that public speaking is the number one fear? Yeah, and I love that Jerry Seinfeld quote. He says, if that statistic is true, that means if we're all at a funeral, we'd rather be in the casket than up giving the eulogy because death is like number 7 of fears. It's hilarious. I don't know if that's actually true. Like if we were all there at a funeral. But being nervous about public speaking is so normal. And I hope that also takes a little pressure off. Like maybe you can stop expecting yourself to be relaxed. Yeah. Maybe you can start expecting yourself to be nervous and then approach it differently, right? Then you can take good care of it. Yeah. So the next thing to understand is how your nervous system works. Right. If our first step to feeling more confident, especially as an introverted woman, is to calm our nerves, we need to understand how the nervous system works. And I'm going to talk you through 3 different levels of the nervous system and how they work. And as I talk through these things, I want you to be aware or like think to yourself, which one of these do I go into the most when I'm put on the spot, when I'm in the spotlight? Yeah. Okay, level 1 is the colloquial name for it would be stay and play mode. Stay and play, which means that, yeah, I'm not totally relaxed like when I'm asleep, right? I'm more awake, I'm aware, I'm engaged with people in day-to-day life. This is where you live most of the time. It's a state you're in. So there's no threat that you're aware of, right? So stay and play. But as soon as your nervous system recognizes a threat in the environment, then you go into the fight or flight mode. And I'm sure you've heard of fight or flight mode, right? This is when our nervous system goes into alert. There's a threat in the environment. So imagine there's a gazelle on the savannah, and there's a lion over there watching the gazelle. The gazelle, as soon as it notices the lion, and the lion maybe is sitting up on its haunches about to run, the gazelle has the feeling of there's a threat. And it's the same for you. Like when I stood up in front of those 100 or so people and all those eyes are on me, it's like, threat. You know, as soon as you perceive a threat in your environment, there's a fight or flight mode. Fight mode, most of my women don't go into fight mode because they're too nice. But, you know, the fight mode is the person in a meeting who's like really intense and cutting people off and, you know, gets like louder and more dominant. That actually is fight mode. It's a nervous system response. But most of my women will jump right into flight mode. This is the gazelle running away from the lion, right? And that's why your knees might shake or you might get fidgety because you literally physiologically want to run away. And maybe you've even had that thought like, I want to run away right now. Can I please not do this? And you might like try to avoid speaking gigs. All of that is a flight response. It's very normal. However, you know, in a lot of situations, most situations with speaking, we can't actually neutralize the threat. It's challenging to, which is why you would work with someone like me to like learn how to neutralize the threat. So if you can't, then your nervous system goes into freeze mode. Freeze. And freeze mode is the nervous system's way of getting through a stressful or traumatic incident. It's actually, you know, very wise of our bodies that we do this. Because if something bad is happening, like you cut yourself or something, you go into shock, right? That's your freeze mode in order to get through until you can relax fully. However, when that happens with public speaking, this is when you feel dissociated. This is when you blank out. This is when, you know, you can't find your words and you're just frozen. Even if you do get words out in that freeze state, it's very uncomfortable, right? It can be sort of traumatic, like, I'm stuck here and I'm all alone and nobody's helping me. And then you just want it to be over. So some people will speed through the speaking as fast as they can to get it over with. Now, is that you at your best? Is that you lighting up a room or inspiring a crowd? No, right? So this freeze response is a survival mechanism, but it's not really going to help you improve your public speaking skills, achieve your goals in terms of being seen as a leader or an authority. It's going to sort of keep you in your status quo. Does this make sense? So which one do you see that you get stuck in? Do you go into fight mode? Do you feel like you want to flee? Do you go into freeze mode, or maybe a combination of all of these? I hope this helps you be aware of just how you work, what is your habits. And then once you have this awareness, let's put on top of it the awareness that if you're more introverted, it's easier to feel like a room of people is a threat. Let's take a moment to talk about introversion. Introversion and extroversion is a spectrum. It's not a black and white kind of thing. So where are you on the spectrum? There's a quiz that I created to help you figure out how much of an introvert you are. And I think that'll pop up on the screen now. It's at speaktoinspire.com/quiz, where you can go. It'll take 30 seconds, a minute to go through the quiz. You'll get a number at the end that'll tell you how much of an introvert you are. Now, if you're more on the introverted side, more strongly introverted, you will feel more comfortable in, I work from home. I feel much more comfortable in my home environment. As soon as I go, I'm introverted, if you didn't know, I'm really introverted. If I go out and I'm at a party with people I don't know, that is more challenging for my nervous system. I'm not saying that extroverts don't get nervous, because they do, but they feed off of, it's just like a biological thing. They're built to feed off of the energy of meeting new people. That gives them energy. Whereas introverts, it will take energy to meet new people and communicate, right? So, you're already having this nervous system response, and then put on top of it this introversion thing. It gets even harder to calm your nerves, or it's even more important to learn how to calm your nerves. So that's what I want to go into now. I want to talk about how a practice that you can do to immediately calm your nerves when you notice this rise of symptoms inside you. Okay, so do this with me. It's very simple. Just take your hands up and place them very lightly on top of your head. Yeah, very lightly. This is like if your mother, your father, or someone you love were to place their hands on your head as a child. Yeah, it's very comforting. And take some deep breaths here. And just sweep down across your hair, across your head. And then we'll do that across the forehead as well. You can just take a moment to let your hands land on your forehead. And then slide down away. We're going to do that on our jaw, which is one of the most common areas to get tight when we're nervous about speaking. Just place your hands on your own jaw, drop your mouth open, breathe through your mouth, and slide your hands down your jaw. And now with your throat and your neck, so a hand behind your neck, a hand very lightly on your throat. It's very common, and I've experienced it a lot, to have a clenching in the throat when you're anxious about what people will say or respond, or when you're holding something inside that you want to say and express. So let's imagine that there's space in between your hands, big open space. Take some deep breaths through that channel of your throat. Good. And the last thing we're going to do is bring your two fingers of each hand right underneath of your ear here. This is where your vagus nerve connects into your head. And I'm not going to go too deep, but your vagus nerve is directly connected to that nervous system response that I was talking about. And so activating this vagus nerve, as you just touch it gently, can stimulate what's called your parasympathetic nervous system that triggers relaxation and calm and slowing down. Yeah, so just gently sweep that down. Okay. Take a moment with your arms relaxed now to breathe. Breathing is always good. And notice the difference. You can write that into the comment box if you can. Notice the practices that I just gave you are very physical, experiential, tangible, right? It's not a mental exercise, because when it comes to calming your nerves, it's not a mental exercise, right? It's a physical, like on a primal level exercise, just like that gazelle running from the lion. It's a primal response. And so in order to retrain your nervous system, we have to go to that primal muscle memory level, which is what an exercise like this does. I hope this helped you and gave you a little something to do, like tangible thing to do to help yourself when you feel that anxiety rising. All right, let's go into our second piece, which is about releasing the past, because back to that threat. Remember I talked about the threat that you're perceiving in the environment? Well, why are you perceiving a threat? There is a reason that you're perceiving a threat that's just on a primal level, right? Like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of intensity right now. But at the same time, there's a level of threat that you're perceiving that comes from something you've learned in the past. Let me define anxiety. Anxiety is a fear of the future, of the hypothetical future, that's based on something that's happened in the past. Anxiety is a fear of the hypothetical future based on something that's happened in the past. So it's not ill-founded. Like, it's actually pretty smart. Like, this has happened before. I'm really scared that's going to happen again. Yeah. Now, communication and speaking, when it's effective, is always a in the moment, get in the flow kind of experience. It's a present moment thing. Even if it's virtual and recorded like this, it's a present moment thing. So if we're worried about the past and the future and all, right, we're totally missing the moment. So where did you learn what it means to be polite? Where did you learn what it means to be appropriate? Where did you learn what it means to be professional? What did you learn what it means, what it looks like to be a woman? Where did you learn what it looks like to be a leader? I could go on and on. This is the investigation part of it, where like reflecting on, where did I get all these messages? Because when I work with women, they start to like almost vomit. Like, it just keeps going, like all these shoulds that I didn't even know I had. Like, I should always look good. I should always smile. I should always be put together. I should always have the right answer. I should never be unsure. I should, it can just go on and on and on. Of course you're anxious about speaking, right? That's a lot of pressure. It's super high standards that, to be honest, hon, you're never going to live up to. So it's a self-defeating, self-fulfilling prophecy is what I was going for. It's a really important question to ask. And this self-fulfilling prophecy can create what I call public speaking PTSD, where it's the same thing with the anxiety. It's like, I'm afraid that crappy thing that happened with my speaking is going to happen again. And then you sort of make it happen again. Like that last time I had a speaking opportunity, I blanked out and stumbled over my words, or I had a lot of filler words, or even as specific as I've had clients that somebody laughed at them when they were doing show and tell when they were young. And here they are, an adult professional woman, and, still fearful. It's somewhere in that unconscious place, right? It's important to know that all of that conditioning that what I'm talking about that comes out in those mindsets, those shoulds, those standards. Even though the audience doesn't know all your stories, of course, there's no way that they could, they will perceive whatever is going on with you in very subtle nonverbal signals. So it's important to just set this up as like a vocabulary. In terms of communication, there are two parts of communication. There's the verbal part, which is all the words that you say, and there's the nonverbal part of communication, which is everything other than the words that you say. So what are some different kinds of nonverbal communication? Your vocal intonation, your pitch, your pacing, your gestures, your facial expressions, your posture, et cetera, et cetera. You keep going and going. Everything other than your words. So which do you think is the most impactful on somebody that's listening to you, your verbal or nonverbal communication? Well, there was a study done in the 1970s. It's been redone since then because it was pretty amazing result. It's called the Dr. Fox study. What they did is they brought in a big audience and two different speakers to see what, as objectively as possible, what makes a good public speaker. So this first speaker is a real doctor with PhDs and years of experience and known in his field for his articles and everything. And gets up on the stage, stands behind a podium, white lab coat, and basically reads off a script of what he's known for, his expertise. And then our second speaker is an actor that they hired to read a few articles of our real doctor just a few days before the presentation and give a presentation on what he knew, which of course wasn't as much depth of knowledge, could never be, right? But what do you think he did differently? Well, this actor walked around the stage, looked people in the eye, had lots of energy and charisma, dynamics, connection. Afterwards, the audience is asked, well, who did you like more? Who did you trust more? Who do you think was more knowledgeable? And what was it about the speaker that gave you that impression? So who do you think they chose? Overwhelmingly, they chose the actor. That's pretty crazy. And the statistic that came out of this study is that 93% of what the audience was responding to was nonverbal. And just 7% was the words. Pretty crazy, right? So it's worth taking a moment to ask yourself, well, do I spend 93% of my time training and preparing my nonverbal communication? No, you probably spend that much time or more preparing what you're going to say. Yeah. So conditioning can keep us really stuck in this perfectionism and missing what really matters, what really makes a difference for an audience. And then you miss the boat on what actually will improve your speaking skills. And we get too caught up in getting every detail right. So let's go into our last piece, which will bring it all together, which the last piece or the last secret is freeing your expression. We talk about calming your nerves, releasing the past, and now freeing your expression. Now, I use that word freeing because it should feel that way. When you're no longer freaking out in your nervous system, when you're no longer held back by these things from your past, then you can feel lighter and freer. And your authentic expression starts to rise to the surface. Have you ever felt like you're putting on a mask or you are playing a character when you speak? You know, like there's a difference between how you speak to your husband and how you speak when you're, presenting updates at work. I'm not saying that you need to be like the intimate version of yourself like you are with your husband at work, because there's going to be different aspects of you that come out. But I see so many women who try to act as if they're, putting on a show and being good when they're actually freaking out inside. So this authenticity, like being real, being comfortable in your skin, that's what I'm curious about. And I think that's what women need. Let's talk about those 3 mistakes and it'll tie everything together. So the 3 mistakes that I see introverted women make, especially around public speaking fear, is number 1, that they script what they're going to say and somehow think that planning out every single word is going to keep them from being nervous. I hear this all the time. A woman will say to me, well, if I know the topic and I'm prepared, I'm fine. And I think that's a short-sighted way to look at public speaking because, yeah, you might be able to get through it, but are you really making an impact? Are you really inspiring people? Are you really, activating your charisma? And then the answer is probably not, because the presentation becomes about the information, not about the connection or the impact, right? So I think scripting is a big mistake. I always lean towards outlining and outlining in a very simple way. And I teach about how to outline, which I can't go into today, but that's what to move towards. Very simple outlining. Another mistake is thinking that practicing is going to solve your nerves. I see this all the time, that women have been just like getting through speaking opportunities, saying yes, getting through it, practicing ahead of time, just getting through it. And it doesn't make their nerves actually better. It almost re-traumatizes them because the same thing is happening over and over and over again. So you start to expect that it's going to happen. And this is just how I am. This is just who I am. It can become too much of a hardened identity around, I'm just not good at public speaking. It makes me nervous. You might not even believe that something different is possible for you, but I promise it is. And it starts with you, like, stop practicing, stop rehearsing your script, stop just putting yourself out there. Only practice in an environment that is safe and supportive, where you can do something different and then bring that new version of you and that new presence and that new approach to your real world speaking. And you're going to rewrite that muscle memory. And the last big mistake that I see, it's all connected, is getting through with a smile, like just like putting on a smile, like that mask, and getting through. This is a Band-Aid versus a solution. And so if you're just acting nice, that's coming from your conditioning, right? The ones that make waves are willing to make waves. The ones that are willing to get serious, get clear, be directive, are usually the ones that get the promotions and the sales and the opportunities, So it's my belief that if you're just trying to be nice or put a smile on and get through, then you're missing out on the deeper impact that you could make, and also the relaxation that is possible, like the comfort in your skin that's possible. Yeah, so those are the three biggest mistakes I see. And I want to play a quick game here. It's going to be a little funny because you're not actually here with me live, but you can still do it with the recording. It's a very simple word association game. The reason I want to do it is because the answer to all these mistakes is improvisation. In order to free your expression, you need to master improvisation. What is improvisation? Well, it's speaking. Like, we improvise all the time. Life is an improvisation. You have a phone call with your girlfriend. Do you have a script for that conversation? No, of course not. You find the words in the moment. So trust yourself. You have the expertise, the experience, plenty of things to share and a lot of value to share. Improvisation is the way to let yourself be heard and free in the moment with your expression. Okay, so here we go. Word association game. Very simple. I'm going to say a word. I'm going to leave a blank space, and then I want you to say a word back. I'm going to say a word. You say a word back. Just say the first word that comes to your mind as quickly as possible. Part of what we're training here is the connection between your mind and your mouth, which is an actual muscle thing that we got to train, make it stronger. Okay, here we go. Ready? Tiger. Cheetah. Sunshine. Ocean. Light bulb. Tree trunk. Microphone. Cat. Spaghetti. Rooftop. Curtain. Scissors. shoes. And I could keep going forever. How was that for you? Did you start to get into a flow? This is a great thing to do with friends or colleagues. You can do it with a group. Just get going and trust yourself, right? Things come to you. They do. Your mind can think. If you can calm your nerves, release all that conditioning from the past, you can open up to a free flowing expression that you already know how to do, right? And then you can trust yourself. And then we get to hear your amazing voice and amazing message. This is what I've seen with so many of my clients. I want to tell you one story about my client, Essie, who she came to me and she was that classic perfectionist. You know, she had this like very tight neck muscles. And when I had her speak, she was trying to memorize or remember what she had written in her script. She was so nervous about speaking and it was holding her back in her career big time. So if you're a professional, you know what I mean. Like sometimes it comes down to, can I trust myself to speak, right? In order to get those opportunities. And we worked together and I taught her a warm-up routine for her speaking practices like the one that we did today that she could do to get into her body, out of her head, that she could loosen herself up and learn to trust herself. I taught her improvisational strategies like outlines. And she started to be able to just show up to meetings or say yes to that speaking opportunity and things would flow, right? The things would come to her. She could trust it. And then she wrote to me a little while after we worked together and said, I just did a speaking gig in front of 400 people. I got through it and enjoyed it. And I even made people laugh. I had so much fun and it would never be possible without you. I remember she said this. And I mean, that's what I want for all of the women here that are watching, that wherever you're starting, whatever level of fear and anxiety and nervousness that's holding you back, that's keeping you small, that you can get the tools that will allow you to shine, right? And inspire others. Speaking is ultimately never about us. It's never about me. It's about those that we serve, right? So that's me and what I do. And I'm really thankful for the opportunity to share it with you. I hope that this was helpful. Like I hope you got some things that you can take away. And I also know that this is just a beginning. It's like an introduction to this work, right? That's what we had time for today. And that's why I want to invite you to a next step. Would it be okay if I shared with you something that you could do next to get more help with this? Okay, awesome. Well, I want to invite you just to continue the conversation with me. Because like I said, this is a first step that we took today. So let's continue the conversation, get to know each other more. I want to hear about your unique challenges and your unique goals. And so I'd like to invite you to a quiet confidence embodiment session. In this 45-minute one-on-one phone call, I guide women through an experience where they can clarify their challenges and feel in their body where it's been holding them back. I also guide them through like seeing what's possible for the future and embodying that, feeling like, ooh, wow, yeah, I can see how that could be possible for me. And then noticing this gap in between and really getting clear of what do I need in order to get there to that place that I want to go. And that's where we explore, am I a good fit to support you in that? And if not, all good, I'll make some referrals. If it feels like a fit, I'm happy to share more about my Fully Expressed program, and you can see if that's a fit for you too. This is usually, my hourly rate is $495 an hour. So, to have this time with me would be an investment, right? But because I'm here and Lisa invited me, and I'm so glad that I get to contribute to this community, the women are just amazing. I want to give this as a complimentary offer today, just for the women from She Is Me conference. And so you can grab this, grab a spot on my schedule, the speaktoinspire.com/schedule. Grab a spot now. There aren't that many spots on my calendar for the next week or so. So take a look. Grab your spot, and then I can't wait to talk to you. Let's continue this conversation and help you to bring your voice forward for others, right? To inspire others. Okay, take care.